Welcome to Code Crash Java. My name is Rahul. Today our topic is thread. Let's talk about the definition of thread. By using thread, a program can perform multiple tasks simultaneously, which can improve its performance as well as responsiveness. Now, the question is, can we create thread in Java? Thread is not specific to any kind of programming language. We can create thread by using C, C++, Java as well as in Python. Let's discuss what are the topics that we are going to cover in this series of tutorial. I have divided all the topics in two sections. One, basic content. In this section, we will cover all the basic knowledge regarding thread and some practical usage of thread. First, understand thread and its usage with a real world example. In this example, I am going to give you some real world example so that you can understand how we should implement thread, in which scenario we can apply this thread. Implement threads using runnable interface. So there are different ways to create thread. One of them is runnable interface and another is thread class. Fourth, advantage of using runnable interface compared to thread class. Callable interface. Callable interface is another way to create thread, but its concept and application is quite different compared to runnable thread. Difference between callable and runnable thread. This is one of the most important part. Understand thread lifecycle with example. Understand thread pool. Notify and notify all. Set thread priority and daemon thread. Dangling or zombie thread. Thread interference. Thread synchronization and lock. Understand volatile in Java, understand deadlock and starvation, understand live lock and race condition. So these are the basic content. In our advanced content, we will discuss concurrency and parallel thread, fail fast and fail safe iterator in Java, thread interleaving or time slicing, atomic variable, overview of concurrent collection, concurrent hash map, concurrent hash set, thread execution framework, parallel stream, parallel frog join framework, retention lock. So these are the advanced topics that we are going to cover in this series of tutorial. Now let's understand the thread by using a practical example. Let's say that we have to create an application. The name of the application is Dispatch Pro and the functionalities of this application is to send email to our clients, maybe 10 clients, maybe 100 clients. So we have to fetch the information about the email ID and then we have to trigger the email to that particular clients. Let's first understand program controller. So what is program controller? In computer science, programming controller is nothing but control the execution of an application. Take the input and depending on the input, it execute all the instruction that we have written to create an application. Basically, it take the data, load the data into memory. If it's required, then it will interact with storage, send some data over the network. So let's look at some example. In this example, we can see that we are going to print three messages. First is good morning, second is good evening, and the last is good night. So how program controller will execute this command or this statement? First, it will execute the first instruction, which is good morning. Once it prints the message in console, then it will move to its second instruction, where it will print good evening. Once it prints the message in console, again it will move to the third instruction, and there it will print good night. So we can see that from the first to last, it will execute one by one sequentially. That's mean unless it execute the first statement, it will not going to move to second statement, and so on. In that same way, let's say that we are going to send email to our first client, and also we assume that it will take 1 second to send the message to our client. In this example, we are going to send 3 emails to our client. In first line, we are going to trigger a mail and it will take 1 second. Once it delivers the email successfully, then it will going to execute the second email. So it will take 2 seconds, because as I told you that each email will take 1 second to deliver the email. So to send the second email, it will take 1 second. So 1 and 1, it is now 2 seconds. Similarly, when it will going to send the third email, and when it delivered that email successfully, the total time would be 3 seconds. So in this example, we can see to send a third email, it takes 3 seconds. Now implement this concept in Java program. I have created a new Maven project, and inside that project I have created two class. One, dispatch pro. This is our main class, or in this class we have our main method, and another is util package. In util package I have created one more class. The name of this class is email sender. This class is responsible to send email to our client. So all the functionalities that we have to implement to send email to our client, we have implemented all the logic in these classes. Let's not concentrate on this class as of now, because our main concern is to understand the thread. Later part we will discuss about the logic that we have implemented in this class. Let's now try to understand how we are sending email to our client. So I am deleting this file because it is not required. So first we have to implement new object. And also let assign one instance having the total email that we are going to send. Now let's define the email address that we are going to send. Let's now create some email address dynamically. So for that reason we have to use for loop. Instead, using a real email address, let's use some disposal email address. I have used yup mail disposal mail. Now let's send mail to our client. So in email sender we have one class that is called send, and now we have to pass email ID as argument. Okay, let's do one thing. Before sending email, we can start watch so that we can log the starting time execution. So in email sender we have another method that is called start watch. This functionality will log the time before sending all the emails. And let's add another method which we have defined in mail sender, and that is stop watch. So that's all about our program. Now let's run this program. Now in this example you can see mail is sending one by one. The first email address that we have sent is crash code 0. Second is crash code 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. And now as I told you that we have logged our watch time, so to send the 10 email IDs to our client it takes near about 11,940, which means near about 12 seconds. So now you can see that to send 10 email it takes 12 seconds. Now let's imagine that we have to send more than 1000 email at a time. Then what would be the time complexity? It would be huge, right? Now let's look how we can reduce this time by using thread. In our previous example we have seen to send 10 email it takes near about 12 seconds. Now let's try to reduce the time by using thread. In earlier, the Dispatch Pro application sent email by itself. Instead, sending email by itself, now Dispatch Pro will create each thread for sending each email. In this example, you can see to send 3 email, Dispatch Pro created 3 thread. Thread 1, thread 2 and thread 3. So, the responsibility of our Dispatch Pro app is to create thread, not to send email. Instead, each thread will send email for each client. Basically, Dispatch Pro is saying to all thread that can you send a mail to our client that I have given to you. So thread 1 says okay, it's my responsibility to send that email to our client that you assign to me. In this case, Dispatch Pro will create only thread, not dealing with the sending email functionalities. For that reason, Dispatch Pro will not wait for each email to complete its tasks. Now, understand the whole concept. If we assign 5 tasks to a single person, definitely it will take time to complete all the tasks. But instead, if we assign 5 tasks to 5%, then definitely it will reduce the time complexity. Now we are going to create a thread and we will assign the tasks to the created thread and they will take care of that functionalities. The main concept is that by using thread we can improve the performance of an application. So in this example you can see that thread is now sending email to our client. Now assume that each thread will take 1 second. So what will be the total time to send 3 emails? Definitely it would be 1 second because one thread is performing one task simultaneously. It is not going to wait for the tasks for the previous one. Now implement this concept in code. In previous example, we are sending email without using thread. Now in this example, we will try to send those email by using thread. The class is same that we have used in our previous example. This is Dispatch Pro class, and again we are going to send 10 emails. Now let's start. So we are creating email ID dynamically, and it is same as our previous one. Now let's create thread to send this email. Here I am using lambda expression to create new thread. In the next video, we will create thread by using runnable interface. As of now, let's use lambda expression to make it simple. Okay, let's first create an object of email sender. Also, let's log the time before sending email to our client so that we can mark the starting point before sending the email to our client. So the start method was already defined in email sender object. It will just log the time. Also log the end time. So we have to do few more things because now we are dealing with thread. So we have to make few changes in our application. So first let's create an array list so that we can store all the thread that we are going to create. Now store each thread in this array list. We'll explain why we are using this array list to store the thread. This is a part of callable thread. When we will discuss about callable thread, then I will explain why I am adding the thread to this array list. Now start the thread. In previous example, we didn't pass any argument to stopwatch method. Now we are going to pass thread list to this method as a argument. I will explain you why I adding this thread list in this method. So this is all about our program. Now try to execute this program. Okay, let's check the error that we have. Okay, so we have to close the bracket. Now start again. Okay, we forget to give that @. Now run again. I hope this time it will work without having any error. Yeah, now you can see it takes near about 1000 millisecond or 1 second to send the 10 email. So it is 10 times faster than the previous one because here we are using thread. So now you can see by using thread how can we improve our performance. as we mentioned in our example, that our Dispatch Pro application will not wait to send each email, because now it's creating thread and assign that thread to a task to send the email to our client. If you closely look at the output of this program, then you can see that it didn't maintain the order. Means it should first send code crash 1, then code crash 2, code crash 3, code crash 4, and so on. Why it's happened? Because we are using thread, and there is no guarantee that thread will execute one by one, because execution thread is completely depend on JVM. So in this case, you can see code crash 7 email was delivered first, then code crash 8, then code crash 4, 3, 5, and 1, and so on. So this is all about the general concept of thread, how thread is working, in which scenario we should use thread. I have given all the example and explain everything. In next tutorial, we will learn how we can create thread by using runnable interface.